I have one client, which equals 6 grand plus. I have
Mhm.
a price for the lowest tier, a middle tier, and it goes up to $5,000 for retainer work. The way that I started was it's a lot of work, but it's cold outreach. I use LinkedIn personally because it's a platform of business people look to do business. I believe that your income is directly tied to the value that you provide and the problems that you solve.
All right, guys, welcome to the show. My name is Sam. If this is the first time we're meeting, and I am the Vidlead Studio user. More about Vidlead Studio later in this episode. But I'm super excited because today we have Aaron as a guest, and he's been making 6 to 10K every month in his video business. So this is gonna be super exciting. He's gonna be giving us all the secrets. We have him for about an hour, so you want to make sure you grab some popcorn. If you're driving, whatever you're doing, this is the best episode to listen to because he's gonna be breaking down all the strategies and how he's actually making all this kind of money every month, guys. Every month. This is a monthly revenue. So I'm super excited, and I'm not gonna take much time because he's ready to give us all the secrets. So let's go. I'm gonna bring in my man, Aaron. How you doing, man?
Brother, I'm doing so good. Thank you for having me today on the show, man. It's an honor to be here.
Yo, man, I'm super excited to have you, man, and thank you so much for saying yes to this. Actually, this is an opportunity for me and of course for the audience, for everyone who's listening, because you're gonna be the one actually giving away all your secrets and strategies. So before we get too far, can you introduce yourself? Tell us, who are you? How
Yeah.
long have you been doing video?
Yeah, right on, man. So my name is Aaron. I own a video production company in Austin, Texas. And man, I've been doing video for about 4 years now, almost 5 years. And as a media company, I've been doing it for the last two as like an all in, all in on the company. No longer a freelancer kind of thing for the last 2 years. So it's been a little bit, man. I think there's some people who obviously have a little more tenure, but I have a lot of background and experience with it prior to starting my business. So it's exciting stuff, man.
Cool. So you've been doing video for 5 years, but like, were you doing it professionally or you were more doing it as a hobby? Were you full time? Do you have a 9 to 5 job right now, or back in the day when you started, did you have a 9 to 5 job?
No, actually, thankfully, there's nothing wrong with 9 to 5, but
Yeah.
thankfully have never had to get one in the traditional sense. So, man, I've been since high school, I've been taking photos and doing little videos. And when I got into college, I continued to take photos more so than video, getting people to pay me for senior photos, headshots, all that stuff. I guess that sort of thing, entrepreneurially in college. And then whenever I graduated, I got a job doing photos and videos for strictly real estate, like pretty immediately out of college. So it was a unique job where it was more of like a contractor kind of gig, but it was only of houses. And then shortly after doing that for like 2 years, I transitioned into doing more of like freelance work, honestly. And I'll say freelance work, and I'll differentiate that from actual like video production work, because in my mind, and I think in any like professional's mind, there's a difference between being a freelancer and being a business owner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so before I actually opened up my video production company, I was just doing it freelance. I was doing odd jobs, no 9 to 5, just kind of doing it as as the jobs presented themselves, essentially. So there was no rhyme or rhythm to it. And yeah, that was a crazy time, bro. Like I was like making very little money doing that and living off the savings that I made at my previous job,
Yeah.
in the hopes that I would just like all of a sudden start getting a ton of business. And that didn't actually happen until this year, honestly. But yeah, so it's kind of sporadic freelance work. And then 2024, God opened some doors for me, and we just kind of ran through them. So yeah, man, it's been a journey.
Nice. Thanks for sharing, man. So for me and for actually the audience, I want you to define opening a video production company. What does it mean? Like, if somebody's, you got, a few cameras and shooting some weddings here and there, or you're doing some real estate videos and
Yeah.
you're working from, just from home, you don't have an office. Is that considered a video production business, or like, how do you define a production business?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. And for anybody who's watching who is just starting, or maybe is looking to get into it, this is an important factor that you need to know, because honestly, on paper, it almost looks the same. There's some very slight nuances. The biggest shift is up here. It's a big mental shift that sets you apart as a freelancer to a business owner, right? And so as a freelancer, you have a camera and you make videos for people. You take photos for people. You wait for people to hit you up and you post on your Instagram expecting people to come knocking at the door. I don't think it necessarily matters for either where your office is. If you have a commercial space or if you office out of your house, that doesn't matter. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about how you acquire and serve your customers, right? And when you're a freelancer, like I mentioned earlier, there's no rhyme, there's no rhythm to it. It's kind of whatever comes through the door. If anything comes through the door, you're going to take it and you're going to make it work. You're going to figure it out. And the shift really happens when you decide, I don't want to do that. I don't want to depend on referrals or depend on, honestly, just luck to get a job.
Yeah.
Like if my cousin hears that I do video and they happen to know somebody that may need a video for like their engagement, whatever, and I say engagement, not to make a lot of engagements. There are real professional video, production companies that do weddings solely, but there's a difference there too, right? They're not just randomly taking them. They have a client acquisition process. They know how to get their clients. They know how to service them exactly the same way. But the mental shift is saying, hey, like no longer will I just take random jobs. If this doesn't align with what I want to happen for my business and its growth, then I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to do a random event, a birthday party, you name it. We've probably done all the weird random events starting up in the video business.
Yeah.
And you do it because you have to.
Yeah.
But there comes a point where you kind of take that leap of faith and it starts in your mentality. And you're like, you know what? I'm a professional. I'm a business owner. And for me, that I made that jump mentally in 2023. And it's when I actually got my LLC. That's not necessarily how it has to happen for you. That's just how it happened to me. I was like, I got to stop this, man. I gotta provide for my family. Like I'm sick of just getting these odd jobs and taking them as they come. Like I want to know more. I want to be able to provide automatically. And so, yeah, man, that's kind of, in my opinion, that's what that shift looks like. And that's the difference between like a video production company and a business owner, where you set standards for yourself and you don't take jobs that aren't going to fit within those standards. And then a freelancer who kind of takes whatever comes at them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's mostly like a mindset shift where you stop being random and you become more intentional.
Yeah. Intentional is a good word, man.
Yeah.
Good word for it.
Cool. So you started. So right now, of course, we're gonna get into it because everybody's is actually waiting for the question, which is how you're making 6 to 10K actually, 10K a month. Again, I say always this is not like super wow money, but this is probably more than enough money for most people, maybe who are doing 9-to-5 jobs, still hustling, doing video production on the side. Yeah. This is how everybody starts, and the reason why I also say that it's kind of exciting is because if you're making that kind of revenue, again, I don't want to tell anyone to quit their job, but that's probably more than what you're making on your 9-to-5.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're able to secure 6 to 10K a month, it's really a good income that can actually allow you to do this video business thing for kind of full time. Actually, I think it's possible. When you get to around 10K, it's possible, right?
Yeah, man. Let's get into it. Yeah. So I'll just say this first, man. Like it's a huge blessing, and to be able to make money at all, running your own business, and especially making videos for people.
Yeah.
That's something to consider. It's such a fun career, and it's such, I don't know, man. It's one of those things where it's like, how do you ever? You kind of dream about making videos and making money, right? It's like, oh man, if only I could do the thing that's really fun that I like to do and get paid for it.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's just a huge blessing off the top, just to say like, I've been able to provide for my family with videos and to learn how to do it effectively and efficiently. And so, yeah, dude. So it wasn't always like this. Like I said, this year, this kind of popped off for me, and it's allowed me to make this much. And this is just scratching the surface. Like you said, like it's a lot of money, but it's not that much money in the grand scheme. Like there's people doing way more. But how did I do it? Let's dive into how I did it. So, man, first of all, I did a lot of research. I did a lot of like tinkering with like, okay, how do I get people to say yes to me or whatever? And I think for people who are beginning or people who are trying to figure out how to make money, it starts with the question, right? It starts with, how do I go from giving people videos to solving people's problems? And I think that's genuinely the first question you have to ask yourself.
Yeah.
Because when that is your mindset, then you're no longer like, oh, my video is, super cinematic and there's some slow motion in it, and that's what you want,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It changes from that to like, okay, this business has a problem with their marketing. How can I use video to solve that problem? How can
Yeah.
I address that problem
Mm-hmm.
and get them to understand that if you use these videos and you leverage them properly, people will know about you and they will buy your service or your product or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first thing, is like, how do I get my clients to understand that I'm solving their problems? I'm not just making videos. It just happens to be that a video is what's going to do it. But,
Yeah.
So that's the first mindset shift, right? And then there's a lot of ways to go about this. I encourage the way of kind of doing everything, not necessarily niching down initially, unless you already know of a niche that you like.
Yeah.
Or a niche that you are able to just dive into, right? Like if you have an opening in, let's say, real estate, then just jump in it, because you probably know the market a little bit or the industry.
Yeah.
And if you know a couple realtors, you could get a really solid start there. But the reason I say I don't necessarily believe in the niching down initially is because I've done a lot of jobs that pay well, and I don't know, man, they're just
In some
I
weird
just can't-
niches.
yeah, weird niches that I just
Yeah.
can't get behind. I'm
Yeah.
like, I can't see myself working with multiple clients like this
Mm-hmm.
in this industry for longer than this job, And so
Yeah.
it's important to find out what you like, but it's almost more important to find out what you don't like, so you don't get stuck doing that.
True.
And so the way that I started was it's a lot of work, but it's cold outreach, like, I don't know if you're into the cold outreach, Sam, but like, man, I do a lot of cold outreach. Even when you're consistent and getting income monthly, you still got to do it, because when that slows down and you start slowing down your cold outreach, then like the well dries shut, it dries up, and then you're like back to square one. So like, this is where the systems and this is where your dedication to your business come into play, right? Because if you have a system for acquiring customers and doing cold outreach, and then you start getting clients, you have to be able to manage both. And so that's kind of where it started. And it's a slow process at first, but it's like planting little tiny seeds along the way.
Yeah.
Every person you come in contact with, every lead that you come in contact with, you're planting seeds, right? Like, you're not trying to make a sale immediately upon meeting them. You're just trying to introduce who you are and what you do. And then every interaction after that is a seed of like, hey, like, just so you know, like, I'm doing videos around you this week. Like, if you ever need anything, let me know. Or, hey, like, I'm doing video production services for companies. If you're looking for an intro video, I'm actually having a special this week. Just wanted to let you know that, right? And it doesn't just happen at once. People aren't automatically looking for video.
Yeah.
But the numbers game behind it, some people are going to be looking for video. So yeah, man, cold outreach is really my bread and butter. It's undeniably the best way to get clients, in my opinion, especially when you have less money and more time on your hands. For people beginning, cold outreach is the way to go. And I'll just tell you, like, I use LinkedIn personally, heavy on LinkedIn, very active on that platform, because it's a platform of business people look to do business, you know? And so in my experience, I've had a ton of success with LinkedIn, and the search tool that they have on LinkedIn is incredible. It's like, it's like you can customize the search to industry, to how many employees they have, to where they're located, where their headquarters is. Even as deep as like, hey, I only want to talk to the CEOs of this company, of companies, right? Or owners or marketing directors. You can categorize them all and hit them all up one by one, and then just follow up consistently. So but yeah, man.
So man, we're just getting started, because this is getting so good. Man. So before we get too far, what niche are you serving right now? You have a niche, or I know, because you talked about, business owners, of course, but do you have a specific niche right now? Yeah,
right now I service a lot of construction companies, and I also do a lot of like professional services. And I'm making a shift. I'm trying to do more B2B service companies, right? Okay. There's kind of a lot of those, right? But B2B service companies and then professional services are what I'm really leaning towards. I lean more towards like corporate style videos. That's what I like to do. And I feel like you can get a really simplified system going to where it's almost like rinse and repeat. I know how to set up the client acquisition. I know how to talk their language, and then I know how to service them properly to help them get results. And so that's the shift that I'm trying to make. But yeah, man, a lot of construction companies in my past, and yeah, construction's a good niche to get into for those who are just starting. But yeah.
So
What about you, man?
hold on a second, because I
Ah,
have a lot of
yeah,
questions for you.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. So can you define B2B first for people who don't know B2B?
Yeah, good question. Good question. So, B2B company is a company that provides services to other businesses, right? And so they're not necessarily selling to consumers. They're not necessarily selling products that are meant for like a consumer, like an end user, right? So, like, I couldn't go to these companies' websites and buy their stuff, unless I was purchasing on behalf of my business, for a
Yeah.
certain thing. But yeah.
So you mentioned something that kind of triggered me. You mentioned something that was you talked about providing not selling video, but selling a solution, right? Something like, okay, where you don't have to look at your video as, hey, I can make a video for you. See it more like, okay, I can make a video that will solve a problem or will be a solution to your business. What kind of problems do you have, right? That kind of thing. Where, because a lot of videographers, me included, that's how I used to be in the past. Now I'm shifting my mind, right? We're all caught up with like, okay, I gotta make the best video ever. I gotta get the best camera ever to, do like 120 FPS slow-mo kind of thing, or like,
Sure.
the best cinematic video ever. That's where people are going to hire me. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But for you, you are more into like, okay, how can I use my video to solve this guy's problem, right?
Yeah.
And I believe at that point, actually, when you get to that point, even if you use your iPhone, shoot a video, and that video makes someone, I don't know, it's a business maybe you're serving, it makes them 10K, or it 10x's their revenue, their monthly revenue. Those people are happy to pay you, right? They don't care about what the video looks like if the video is helping them make money, right? So I want you to talk more about that. Like, how can, what advice can you give to videographers in general? And how can someone actually shift their mindset from being more like, I gotta make the best video possible to I gotta make the best video to solve someone's problem?
Yeah. That's good, man. That's good to point out. I think, first of all, I believe that your income is directly tied to the value that you provide and the problems that you solve, right? Your income in any company you work for, 9 to 5, or as an entrepreneur, the bigger the problem that you solve, the more money you can charge. That's just how it works, right? So, and then this plays an important role in the niche that you choose, because the common example here is like a coffee shop, right? Like if you make a video for a coffee shop, the problem you may be solving is, hey, we want more customers for our coffee shop. Can you make us a video that's going to help us acquire more customers, get them into our shop? And as a videographer, you're like, sure, yeah, I can absolutely do that. And you make a killer video. But at the end of the day, what they're selling is coffee. They're selling, a coffee is expensive these days, don't get me wrong, but like you're selling $5 cups of coffee, right? If you sell a video for $1,000, and they're gonna have to sell a lot of cups of coffee in order to just pay for you, right? And you have to consider that those $5 cups of coffee, or $5 cups of coffee, they're not only paying you, but they're paying their employees, they're paying their overhead, like their lights, their expenses, the coffee machines, the beans, all this stuff. And so that plays a role in it too. But when it comes to solving problems for businesses, you just have to really think in terms of the business owner or the business itself, right? So I'll give the example of a construction company. So large commercial construction companies, they're building huge facilities, right?
Yeah.
So part of their problem is, like, for marketing, most of them are blue collar people. They are hardworking people. They're focused on business. They wear cowboy boots. They wear, jeans, and they're not too worried about fancy videos or fancy photos. They're more worried about, how do we build this thing to make it look good and to make it structurally sound to where it won't fall over, all that stuff. So their problem is, well, we do a great job of building, but we don't do a great job of marketing because we don't care about that stuff.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the times when I'm solving marketing problems for construction companies, I'm telling them, hey, if you guys want to get more customers, then you need to showcase the work that you have done. Like you need to show people, hey, we're capable of doing this kind of work. And so one of my big, I guess you could say, I don't know, one of the bigger packages that I sell is like a portfolio highlight package, right? So I'm like, hey, if you want to sell more videos like this or more projects like this, then you need to prove to people that you can actually do them and they need to see them, right? And so we'll go get before photos and videos of a structure that is demolished or something that looks like crap that they're about to renovate or they're about to build a new thing, right? So I'm like, I'll get befores, the middle to where we can see the progress, and then afters, and we'll make one long video for you for you to send to your customers, right? So that's kind of like a marketing video, marketing problem that I'm solving on the behalf of the construction company, right? And so you just have to think in terms of what does this company do and what are some of the struggles that they're having in. There's a couple categories, right? Marketing is one, sales is another. Then you can also have like recruiting. If people are hiring, we're like, hey, we're having a problem hiring people. How do we hire more people with video? Well, you can make a recruiting video that shows the benefits of working with you, the culture of working with you, and why it's so appealing to do that, right? So that's another type of video. And then you have internal videos, right? That's not necessarily problem solving, but that's more of like a communication type of thing. But like the problem solving aspect of it is huge, and I feel like that's a lot.
That's where the money's at.
Yeah, exactly. That's missing from a lot of young entrepreneurs, young video production companies, young freelancers mindsets. It's like, they're focused on the videos instead of focusing on the problems. I don't know if that answers your question, but we can go into more of it if you want.
Yes, it does. So do you see yourself, would you say that you sell video or you sell video marketing?
Yeah, I sell.
Or both?
I think it's both.
Okay.
I think the answer to that is both, but I think you can use them interchangeably when it comes to who you're talking to.
Yeah.
If you're talking to more of a corporate company, then you're like, yeah, I sell video marketing for you guys. Like I can help you acquire customers or get you become more known in your industry, right? And like, I'll be honest. So like, there are some cases where you hit people up. You're like, hey, I actually make videos for companies, and they're like, well, actually, we're looking for videos already. So you do run into instances like that where it doesn't necessarily matter, but with like those are the good jobs, right? When you kind of they just fall into your lap. But yeah, I think you can use those interchangeably.
Okay, so man, this is so good. I feel like I have a million questions for you, but I want to get into how you're getting leads right now, which is a huge part of your business, because again, it should be for everyone actually, because if you're not getting leads, then it's gonna be hard for you to get clients, right? So how are you getting those leads? I know you talked about LinkedIn. Are you doing like in-person events and stuff like that? And do you have a system where you actually capture the leads and then you continue the whole process with I'm assuming using Vidlead Studio, which is going to be a software that every videographer actually should be using right now. If you're not using it, we got a link down below, and we're going to talk more about it probably at the end of this episode. But can you talk about how you're capturing leads and how you're turning them into clients?
Yeah. So lead capture is it's the biggest part of your business, because without leads, without people who are interested in what you're selling, you don't have a business, right?
Yeah.
So that's a huge part. That's probably what I spend 90% of my time doing, is trying to get more leads, right? And
did you say 90%?
90%. It's a huge percent, man. Like,
wow.
It's a huge percent of time that you have to spend nurturing leads, acquiring leads, just making sure that they're always knowing about you, that you're always on their mind, And so, because when a video project comes up, I've had people that I hit up last year around the same time that are just now starting to say, hey, actually, we need a video, right? And so since they're on my list and I send them emails, they're like, I'm the first person that pops up in their mind. And so then they hit me up, which is great. That's part of planting seeds, but leads, man. So there's a couple way to get leads. There's really only, I think, 3 or 4, right? You can do manual, or you can do outreach, you can do ads, or you can do, well, that's it, I guess. Paid ads, organic outreach, and then you could do like face-to-face in-person stuff. But the way I go about getting leads is mainly through online, and it's a combination of content, organic content. I have not ran a paid ad, and organic cold outreach, manual cold outreach. And I do both, and it works pretty well. I think for anybody who is wanting to start getting leads and wanting to try to get more leads, those are the best 2 to start with whenever you have little money and a lot of time, right? And so
So do you email people or do you DM people like out of nowhere? You go to LinkedIn and just Google some companies and just send them DMs?
Yeah, man. So yeah, let me walk you through my process on LinkedIn. That's my main way of acquiring leads and customers. And so what that looks like is I pull up LinkedIn. I have the premium account, so I get access to this, it's called Sales Navigator, where I can customize my searches and stuff. But I'll get on there, I'll search up the market or the industry that they're in, like let's say construction. I'll look up in the area from, let's say, Austin to North Georgetown, right? Because that's like kind of that Central Texas area. I'll look up construction, Central Texas, and then I'll look up CEOs, and then I'll look up companies who have anywhere from 10 employees to 250 employees. So that's a wide range of businesses. That's a wide range of physical location.
Yeah.
And so then I'll get a list of like, sometimes it's a couple hundred, sometimes it's a couple thousand. And what I do is I just literally go through the list and I click on each person's name individually and I send them a cold message. And this first, like there's a sequence and there's an order that you need to do this in for it to make more sense for your business, right? Because people use the analogy of dating and marrying, right? So like when you first meet somebody, are you married, Sam?
Yeah, married.
You married? So when you first met your wife, who wasn't your wife at the time, but when you first met her, you didn't just go up to her and say, "Hey, will you marry me?" Right?
Yeah.
No. But you got to date for a little bit. You got to date.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to warm them up. You gotta get to know them a little bit. You gotta let them know you a little bit. And so that's the same process with sales and with leads, right? So you send an initial message that's like, "Hey, my name's Aaron. I actually run a video production company. I'd love to be a resource for you if you ever need it, but let's just connect." That's the first message you send. And then they either respond or they don't, right? There's two ways that they can respond. The first way is they can connect with you and that's it. They don't respond to your message. The second way is they connect and they respond to your message. And so depending on what they do, it's a sequence of follow-up messages after that.
Yeah.
The first one, it would be like, "Hey, what's going on? Just wanted to touch base, say hi. I don't know if you're looking for video currently or not, but regardless, I'd love to be a resource for you. Talk to you soon." Right? And then the next one could be like "Hey, like I just wanted to show you this video. I know you're in construction. I actually just filmed this video for this client of mine and it helped them increase their, their sales this month or whatever. Check this out when you get an opportunity." And then it's just a series of those and you do it for each individual person, right? And so
is this automated?
I don't automate it. I do it manually, but there are ways to automate it. And the reason why I don't automate it yet is because I'm under the belief that you have to do the work initially in order for the work to work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I like doing it this way because first of all, it's challenging, but I'm getting a deeper understanding of marketing and sales from it, you know?
Yeah.
And if you have the money and you wanted to automate it to start, you could definitely do that. That's not an issue. It's not like you're cheating. There's no such thing as cheating unless you're like shorting your clients or whatever. But I believe that any business owner that is starting out should do it manually just to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
Because with the skills that I've learned through my video company, I 100% believe that I could take this into any business I ever start and know how to get clients. You know what I mean? It's like it translates across the board. And so if you want that knowledge and that power, then I would recommend that you do it manually. But if you don't care for it, then automate it. That's fine too, But all this is manual. So I'll just go through my list, man. Keep track. Tracking is something that I've recently started doing better. And so what that looks like is like, for July, let's say, every person I reach out to, I keep it on like a Google sheet, right? And then at the end of July, I'll total it up and I'll say, okay, these are the people that responded back to me. These are the people I booked calls with. And then you can see like the ratio, because eventually in your business, you should get it so streamlined and so predictable that you should know how many people a month you need to reach out to reach X revenue goal, right? There's a direct correlation, and that's why it's important to track stuff like that. And so that's why I'm starting to do it more so. So like if you knew every 200 outreaches you made, 10 people would book a call with you. And out of those 10 calls, you'd close 2 of those calls. Well, then it's just a numbers game from there, right? Then it's just like, okay, if I want to double my revenue, then I'll double my leads. And so that's when business becomes more fun and predictable, and you can actually scale it, and when you're a beginner, everything seems so far and so foreign and so random that you don't ever think of it in terms of numbers like that. But it helps, man. Like it's a game and you can play the game if you know how to play it, Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, it does, man. Yo, thank you,
Yeah.
man. This is gold, man. This is gold. So,
Let's go.
you mentioned about, something about a coffee shop versus a
Mhm.
construction company. Can you talk more about that? Like, how do you pick the right client that
Mhm.
actually they're going to pay you and pay you well?
Yeah, yeah, that's good. Yeah, I think like we said, it depends on the problem you're solving,
Yeah.
and who you're solving it for. And so when you're looking at markets and industries on who you want to service, think of people who make a lot of money, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
when I say professional services is a what I'm trying to get into. I'm talking like lawyers, right? Like
Yeah.
people who make a lot of income and they have a very specific professional knowledge base
Mm-hmm.
that only they can help people solve, right? You
Mm-hmm.
know, if you have a law issue, only a lawyer can help you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Only an
Yeah.
attorney is going to be able to solve that problem. And
Yeah.
so people like that, you got to think in the mindset of like, which industries do I know make a lot of money? And that's something you can actually Google, like what
Mm-hmm.
are the highest paying industries,
Yeah.
you know, and categorize it. You could chat GPT and ask chat GPT, like, what are the top paying industries, you know, which industries pay most for video, which industries need more video content than others, and it'll spit out a lot of ideas. And then from there you can kind of do process of elimination to see what you like and what you don't like, and if there's any around you in your local town or city. Yeah, man, that's a challenging one though. I think I got something good for you, Sam. This is
Yeah.
good, man. It just made me think of this.
Let's go.
But the niche topic is a very interesting one, because when you're first starting out, you don't want to leave money on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And so by not wanting to leave any money on the table, you forfeit the idea of sacrificing one job to get a better job that's maybe potentially right behind it, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's always an opportunity cost. So if you take a wedding that you don't want to do,
Mm-hmm.
the opportunity cost could be a construction company that was going to pay you double for an easier video.
Yeah.
And so considering that, like when you're thinking about a niche, think about it in the form of a bullseye, right? So a target, right, with a bullseye on it,
Mm-hmm.
or like you're playing darts. So a bullseye has a circle, a target has a circle,
Mm-hmm.
and within that target, there's two other circles. There's a middle circle, and then there's the small circle. That's the bullseye, right?
Yeah.
So think of your niche as a 3-tiered target, with your dream, your perfect client being that bullseye. But then you have maybe 2, potentially 3 other ones on the outside in those other rings. So when you're throwing these darts, you're aiming for the bullseye, but if you hit on the second tier or that third tier, that's okay too. You know, like you don't have to be strictly refined and stuck with only that one client.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you're just not going to get jobs from that specific person,
Mm-hmm.
but you'll get something similar from somebody else. Okay. So think of it like a bullseye.
The
You're trying to hit
base.
the bullseye.
Yeah.
Yep. In that perfect spot. But if you miss and you're close to it, that's okay. But at the same time, if you're advertising your company as you should be, because people don't know who you are, right? People don't know your company. You always assume nobody knows your company, because then you're going to reach more people when you make content for yourself.
Yeah.
And when you hit that second or third tier, just don't necessarily advertise that on your social. Like you don't always have to post videos of every job you do. You know, like I've taken photos for a 2-year-old's birthday. I'm not going to put that on my website because I don't want people to hit me up for that. You know what I mean? And so like if my niche was strictly construction, that does not mean that I can't take a job from a real estate company.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that thought process and that mindset really helped me not be so worried about a niche, because at the end of the day, you can always work for whoever hits you up if it makes sense and if it's worth it. You just don't have to advertise it on your platforms, you know?
Yeah.
So that's my niche stuff, man. That was a big struggle for me for a while. So hopefully that helps clear something up for somebody else. Though.
That's gold, man. That's gold. So I want to talk about pricing now. First of all, how do you have any retainers among your clients right now, or
right now
jobs you're getting every month on a monthly basis?
I have one retainer-ish model client, and they pay the same thing every month when they have a job, and they're pretty consistent. It's a construction company.
Okay.
The nature with construction is that sometimes they won't have a job, right? And so it's harder to have like a solid month-to-month retainer model with them. Sometimes depends on who you want. It depends on the work you're doing, right? We're doing portfolio work, so it doesn't necessarily make sense for them to do a portfolio shoot every month. But like if you were just doing social media or marketing work for a construction company, then it could be monthly. But yeah, so pricing is also a difficult thing to navigate, mainly because it's made up. Right? It's all made up. Like, and that's just pulling the cat out of the bag, right? Like there's no website you can go to that tells you here's how you price videos and here's what they're worth. Videos are worth different people to different problems, right? And so if you're working for like a multi-million-dollar company who needs a video, that's going to be different than working for a mom and pop shop who needs video, right? Their capacity to pay you is different. Their budgets are different. And so I think that matters. And I think that regardless of who you work with, you should always do your best work. But when it comes to the bigger clients, if they pay you a bigger budget, you could do better work, right? Like you could rent better gear. You could rent people who are better at maybe lighting or audio to help you and assist to make a better end result, right? So right now I have a consistent model for retainers, right? I have a price for the lowest tier, a middle tier, in a higher tier. And so that is consistent for anybody who wants to do retainer work from me. And that starts at $1,500 and it goes up to $5,000 for retainer work.
Okay.
And and so if you're wanting ongoing monthly content for your social media, for your personal brand, for your company, then that's what that would look like. Would look something like that with a set amount of deliverables per price point.
So what are your deliverables though? Like what kind of videos you make for them? In general.
Yeah. So for the retainer base, the videos that we're making are more along the lines of informational, educational, long form and short form content. And this is because I really believe in the concept of giving out a bunch of knowledge and then the law of reciprocity. And also that's kind of how you build an audience these days, right? Is you just give out a lot of good value and people will resonate and they'll like that and they will associate your name with high value. They will associate your name with, hey, this actually worked for like, he didn't even charge me for it. So like, what could I get if I paid this guy money for it? You know? So that's why I like to do the professional services is because they have a very specific knowledge set that can really help people out. And for instance, like I've done videos with lawyers and I'm like, all right, well, let's just go over like simple, your frequently asked questions. Because when you like, I don't know, man, unless you're somebody who gets into, lawsuits often, you're probably not going to know what to do when you come in contact with a lawyer or like the process of how to deal with the lawyer. And so essentially we just answer these questions in video format, right?
Yeah.
And so those retainer-based models, they look like value-based information that is going to nurture and build trust with an audience. And
for them.
Okay.
So are you helping them capture or building sort of like leads for their businesses, or just make a video and then just send it to them? Are you posting? Are you making thumbnails? Are you helping them with their social media accounts, stuff like that?
Yeah, good question. So I mainly do just the content creation and the strategic, I guess, planning with it. So I'll help them map it out. I'll help you strategize. I will, because a lot of people don't know the strategy with it, right? Like there's a lot of different strategies, but I'm leaning more towards the YouTube model now. And so like I'm really pushing my clients towards YouTube because the most longevity, as you know, you could monetize a channel. You could potentially get paid on YouTube to advertise your company, which is the only platform that allows that.
Yeah.
And it's like the trust building rabbit hole website. If you watch one video, you're most likely going to watch another. Or if you don't watch the other that day, that's fine. But eventually you'll find yourself watching another video if you're interested in that service or that topic or whatever it is. And so builds a ton of trust. When people have videos, it also builds your authority in the space, right? And so it's just a lot of positives and a lot of benefits. But right now I'm offering the short form where we will help you plan the content. We'll help you, we will film it for you. And then we can give you strategy and guidance on when and how to post it. And the YouTube, the long form stuff, we help you do the same thing, planning it. We can help you script if needed. We will shoot it for you, of course. And then we will actually post those on your YouTube channels and create the thumbnail for you for the YouTube. Nice. So, but yeah, man. So those are like the retainer based packages that we offer.
Okay. Yeah.
But we also have custom packages. We also offer brand story videos, which are, go on a website. It's like the About Me video that gives a deeper explanation of who the company is and what they do and how they can help. We offer videos like that because corporate companies like those a lot. Those are, like corporate people really enjoy those videos. And so those are all custom pricing, right? And since your audience is mostly like videographers and aspiring video production companies or other video production companies, I'll say like pricing is pretty challenging because it is random. Like you can kind of charge what you want, but it's got to make sense for the company. So that process kind of starts with just asking a ton of questions up front, right? leaning into their pain points. So like, hey, you guys are looking for a brand story video. Why is that? Why do you want a brand story video? Right. And they'll tell you the answer. And you're like, oh, okay. So you guys don't really use video? Like, okay, like that's interesting. Why not? You know, and you lean into all these pain points they have.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, then you would ask for like, so like what is the investment you're looking to make into a video like this to help grow your company? You know, so you ask them for the budget, and then they'll tell you the budget. Or if they don't tell you the budget, then there's ways to get around that too. Like you could say, okay, there's no problem. You don't know your budget. Well, I could give you a range, and then you could price anchor them and say like, videos similar to this have costed anywhere from, you know, 15 grand all the way down to like $2,500. Is that anywhere in your range? And sometimes they'll be like, oh yeah, 15 grand, that's way too much. We're thinking like 8 grand.
Yeah.
And so then they kind of are more inclined to tell you what they had in mind, because usually they have something in mind and they're just not going to show you their cards, which is fine.
Yeah.
That's, you know, that's a normal business thing. And then you're like, okay, so 8 grand, that's a really healthy budget. That's fine. And then you could make a proposal that you would be happy to do it for somewhere in between 2,500 and 8 grand, you know? And of course, like in my opinion, I don't necessarily think you should say, okay, 8 grand, perfect. We can do that for 8 grand. and then you hand off one video. So like if you were going to charge the max for that, then you'd be like, okay, we're going to give you the brand story video. We're going to give you 2 to 3 shortened, you know, formats of that. Maybe one little teaser video. We're going to give you a couple social media videos to post. And then we'll also throw in headshots, you know, like you got to make it worth it for them.
Yeah.
Because
give them more value.
Give them more value. And at the end of the day, like one-off shoots like this are they're fine. Like there's nothing wrong with them.
Yeah.
But the more value that you give, the more often they'll come back to you, right?
Yeah.
Or they'll recommend you to people. So like it's always, business is a long game. And so you treat every customer as good as you can. And you also give them as much value as you can within the confines of that budget that they have. So yeah, man.
Also I think that's the importance of like knowing your value as well as a business owner. So if somebody's going to offer you $500, you know, you're not going to take it for sure. So also like comes down to, you know, choosing, you know, the right leads or right clients. Like, as you said, if you approach a coffee shop, you know, they're not making a ton of money, then, you know, you probably, you know, not going to ask them to pay you $8 grand for an about video, you know, an about me video. But if you approach like a lawyer or a construction company, you know, they have the budget, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly, man.
All right, cool. So now I want you to break down your, because again, we say you're making, it's true. It's not that we say it. You're making 6 to 8K a month. Can you break it down in terms of like, do you have 10 clients paying you 1,000 each, or do you have like, can you break it down like your income streams right now?
Yeah. So right now, the reason I'm shifting to a more YouTube heavy retainer based model is because I want more predictability, not even predictability, but consistency in that revenue breakdown. So right now, the way that looks is I have one client, that construction company, they usually give me anywhere from 2 to 3 jobs a month.
Okay.
Which that alone equals 6 grand plus, right? Because it's a good deal I have with them. And so that is the one retainer that I kind of have every month. And then the rest, depending on...
So come again, they're paying you 6 grand a month?
Yeah, right around there, man. Like I'm telling you, it's a good niche to get into. Like they have funds, you know?
Yeah.
And you got to think about another avenue you can think is like, man, if I'm selling to a coffee shop, they're selling coffees for $5. A construction company is selling buildings for hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
Millions.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like, that's another thing. If you're going to a B2B company that's like every time they make one sale, it's 10 grand, 50 grand, 100 grand.
Yeah.
Then it's like, okay, like a $5,000 video isn't going to be much.
Yeah.
6 grand isn't much.
Change for them.
Yeah, exactly. So that one company can get me anywhere up to 6 grand a month, right? Yeah. And then the rest of that is usually from one-off videos that I get. So whether it's a brand story, whether it is a corporate event, or whether it is some other sort of job within that market, that is where that comes from. And so right now, like last month, I can tell you kind of like the last couple of months, it's not super consistent. It's predictable, but it's not consistent in terms of one client. other than the one I have.
Yeah.
Which I would recommend. Like, I would recommend anybody out there try to find the retainer deals.
Yeah.
Just so you have that consistency in your income, and make it so streamlined that it's like not a huge deal to just go shoot the content, like it's just every month we have it playing, boom, 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 we're in and we're out. But like last month I had 2 construction companies that I worked with. So I made a little over $7,000, right? The month before that had a huge shoot with a construction company. That shoot alone was $13,000. And then I had another couple of jobs that month as well. So that was a close to $20,000 month. Before that, construction company, and then 2 different brand stories, right? It's all within that kind of realm. But like I said, I don't have any strict retainer based packages currently that are being, I guess.
Can we break down the 13K gig? Like, what did you make for them? Did you just like, if you don't mind sharing the details of what you had to do?
So yeah, that was that was an awesome one, man. That was just an event, a large event. I hired 2 guys out, obviously. So when we're talking about revenue here, we're not talking about profit, obviously. So like, that's not, you make $20,000 in a month, you're not making $20,000 and putting it in your pocket. There's expenses that have to be paid out from that. But that was an event video, right? And so they had a large event. They had a lot of sponsors. And so when we talked, I asked them what they wanted. I asked them what their budget was. They didn't have a specific budget in mind. And so I was like, okay, this is going to be a lot because you're asking for a lot. And so they were like, okay, that's fine. And that was kind of a rare occasion, because when you have people sponsoring the event, it's not directly coming out of the construction company's pocket. So it's not like it's a painful thing for them to pull out money that's not theirs in the first place. So, but that was cool, man. And like, it was a huge blessing. And I'll say this, that the more people you talk with, the more likely you'll have a chance of finding companies like that. Right. So like, the more people you come into contact with and you lead nurture with, the more often you'll find cases like that. Like I'm in a coaching program, and I've had people that are within that coaching program as well talk to somebody in the first time, and they're like, hey, we actually have a $25,000 project we're needing done, right? Like, that's our budget, right? So like, you never know who you're going to come in contact with, because some of these companies have tons of money to spend, and they don't know where to spend it, or they don't have a video production company that they already go to every time. And so that's the beauty of outreach, and that's the beauty of just talking to as many people as you can, and like in a sincere way to where you're trying to help them. Yeah, man.
Yo, man, that's so gold. So for the event, so what you were doing, you were just covering the event, like did like a highlight and stuff like that after that?
Yep. The event deliverable.
Were you streaming it?
No streaming. It was no streaming. And the event was one, I think 2-minute highlight video, no audio, like no interviews or anything like that, just straight highlight, a 30-second spot of that with the same footage, just different, making it look a little different. I threw in a couple short form videos, I think 4 or 5 short forms, and then photos. So I hired another guy out to take photos.
Okay, if you don't mind, okay, I know I'm asking too much, but can you tell us how much spent on on that project, like your expenses?
Yeah, that was not much, bro. I mean, I paid out the videographer to get the video, because I was like, my mindset then was like, I'll manage people and I'll take photos, because I can do both of those things. So hired out a videographer, hired out a photographer. I think I spent, and I hired an editor for that one specifically. So
God forbid you have to edit that.
Yeah. The thing about it, man, was like, I definitely didn't need to edit that, or I could have edited that one. I spent $3,300. That was my expenses overhead for that shoot, So
we're talking about close to a $9,000 profit. Good,
not bad. And I could have.
You did like a little bit of negotiating with them a little bit, close the deal. You showed up for like maybe 3 hours. I don't know, maybe the event was 1 or 2 hours. You showed up a little earlier.
Yep.
You managed people, took pictures, and that's it. And you go chill with your family.
Yeah. Exactly, man. Let me tell you why I actually hired an editor. Well, first of all, the editor is my brother-in-law. He lives in LA. So he's really good at what he does. But I was like, cool, I'm able to hire this guy. It's my brother-in-law. It's my best friend. I love the guy. So I was like, cool, I'll give this guy work since I'm getting work. The second reason is like, I'm at this point now where I'm like, how do I become a business owner that's not just the person who you hire and they go film and they go edit, but like, how do I delegate tasks? How do I buy back my time so that I can get other jobs rolling in while jobs are currently being fulfilled and taken care of. So that's kind of my next step in my mindset shift, is like, how do I become a CEO in less of a videographer, photographer kind of position? So
That's the key, man.
yeah, man. So I think at this point I'm willing to dish out a little bit more and take a little bit less profit to do that and to get some of that time back. So because as a service-based business, you know this, like all of our time goes to doing the service. It's like when we're not getting clients, we're fulfilling the projects.
Yeah.
Filming takes a lot of time. Even preparing to film takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
Editing takes the most time.
Mhm.
So my advice is like, when you're at a point where you're like making stable income, what's the first position that you can hire out that is draining to you? For me, it's editing. For me, I don't really like the editing portion of what I do.
Yeah.
I used to, but now as I'm getting more business focused and business minded, I'm like, editing takes too much time. Like, and there's people who are better that can do it quicker. And so why would I do it? I'll sacrifice a couple $100 or a couple $1,000 to buy that time back. So yeah, man.
Dude, this is gold, man. So let's talk about fulfillment. You just mentioned about editing. Obviously, are you editing some of your projects or?
I'll edit a few, but right now my goal, my sole mission for the rest of the year is to not edit a single project. That's my focus, because I'm slow, you know, like I'm very particular. So I want it to be done like very well. And obviously there's a lot of details in it. So it just takes me a long time to do it. And I don't find enjoyment in it anymore. So yeah, no, I'm trying to stop editing. But yeah, on the fulfillment side, I'll do the shooting still, unless it's something that I have a budget for. Like if I can negotiate a budget to where I can hire a shooter and an editor, I'm going to do that 100%. And so what that looks like is, of course, we have a pre-production call. We'll be like, hey, what are you thinking? Like, let's get this organized. And then on that same call, we'll say, okay, let's plan to do this in 3 weeks on Tuesday. You know what I mean? So we'll set up all the logistics of it. Depending on who's shooting, if it's me, then I'll go shoot it. If it's not me, I don't have to worry about it. And I just have them upload the footage to Google Drive. And then I'll send the drive to my editor or to myself or whatever that looks like. But in all honesty, unless you were super swamped, and I'm just going to be honest here, like unless you're super busy and you're getting shoots 2-3 times a week, you don't have to wait 2 to 3, even you don't have to wait 3-4 weeks to turn around a video. You can get a video to somebody within 2 weeks, within 2 weeks, right? And so a lot of the times I'll tell people, yeah, I'll give you this video back, your deliverables back in 2 to 3 weeks, but it normally is like a week or 2 max, you know? And so that way, in that regard, I'm over delivering, but I've also set a safety net up for myself, because if it does happen to go 2-3 weeks, then I've already told them that and we're fine. So, but what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to say, hey, yeah, we can have this back in a week and it takes me 2 weeks to do it, right? Because then you're actually going back on your word and you're not being true and you're not fulfilling as well as you said you would, which looks bad. But yeah, 2 to 3 week turnaround, usually done within a week and a half, no matter the size of the video. I've never done like a full documentary, so like that's not something I'm going to take on. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And then for the beginners out there, I would say this is what I do is I do 2 revisions for free. After that second revision, if there's any more, it's $175 an hour to edit.
Okay.
And
which is fair.
And so yeah, and that's fair. That's not a ton of time, but I think that number scares people a little bit to where they're like, okay, let's make sure that it doesn't get there. And it never does. It's like I really emphasize communication up front. And so I'm asking them a ton of questions. I'm making sure the music is good before I submit it. If I'm iffy about it, most of the time they're like, you know, they're good with what we select. But if they're iffy about it, then I'm like, okay, let's make sure this music works, because if this aspect is wrong, then that is going to take a ton of more time to fix, right? Everybody knows that if you've made a video for somebody. But you just communicate everything up front. What are you looking for? Send me examples if you can. Is it okay if this person's in it? Or is it okay if this person's name is in it? Or like whatever the specific details are, you know, like for their context, you got to ask all the questions. And then when you fulfill it, most of the time they're happy. Very little things you got to change if you're doing good communication, if any. And it's pretty smooth sailing from there, man. I do Google Drive. I don't do Dropbox. I just do Google Drive, and I'm like, here's their link to download. There you go. But honestly, bro, with Vidlead, you can do that through Vidlead. So I use Vidlead for a lot of different aspects now, including lead generation. I forgot to mention this, but I have a newsletter that I do, which is, it's so incredible.
I'm getting your emails.
Oh, nice, bro.
Yeah.
They're once or twice a week, depends on what I got to say that week, but that's another way to generate leads. It's like you can use the newsletter as a lead magnet. Say, hey, I actually provide value on like how you can improve your quality of video, how you can get more leads with video.
Mm-hmm.
And I do it once a week at newsletter. So opt in and I'll send you the video or the newsletter. And then they get the value in form of, good information on how they can improve their video content. And you get their email, which tells you that they're a lead because they want to know what you're talking about, right? So they're interested automatically. So that's a good one.
So your potential clients, I'm assuming most of them are actually busy, right? Looking at their business statuses and everything. So do they really like, do you see any conversion in that regards on your email list?
Yeah, the conversion looks a little different. So recently I had a call with a guy who filled out, like occasionally I'll throw in an offer like, hey, I'm actually, I have 2 more spots available for my retainer projects this month. Hit me up if you want, if you're interested. Had a guy hit me up and it was really cool to see because like he was like on the call, he told me that he's like, I just kind of trust you more than these other guys that hit me up about video. I feel like we connect better and, I don't know. I like what you got going on.
Yeah.
And I told him on the call, I was like, bro, I happened to have met this guy one time in person, but it was for like a minute. I shook his hand. I was like, hey, how's it going? I got to go. And then I left. So like, it wasn't really anything to get a relationship built. But throughout him seeing my content on social, like my videos, and then also my newsletter, he was sold on me. Right. And so like, we're still in communications and we're still talking. And I think he may be a pretty big deal down the road. But like, yeah, that's like the best thing it does is just put you top of mind for the people who are on the fence about, buying your service. Of course, occasionally you have to actually make an offer, right? You can't just give them value every day for 4 years and never ask for anything, because then they're never going to know that they can ask, that they can use you for your service. You have to sometimes be like, if you're interested in this, let's talk. Here's my contact form down below, right? Like you have to say, I have 2 more spots left. If you want a spot and you need content, click this link. You have to give them that call to action on what they need to do next. But yeah, bro, the newsletter's a great stream. And it's another way I heard this recently and it was really cool, but like a newsletter is like your own personal social media without an algorithm, right?
That's true. Yeah.
There's no algorithm to it. So you don't have to worry about fighting other people off. You kind of do, but like every time you send a newsletter or an email, it goes automatically to the top of everybody's inbox. It's not going to be automatically in the middle. It's not like they have to scroll to find it. It's going to be at the top. So having your name at the top of everybody's email once a week or twice a week is like, by default, they're seeing your name right off the bat, So then they're like, oh, I just saw Aaron Villa. And then they get off, they go to LinkedIn. And then I have a video and I'm talking and I'm like, hey, did you know that you can increase your conversions when you do X, Y, and Z? And they're like, dang, there's that Aaron guy again. And then after weeks, they're like, their boss is telling them, hey, we need a marketing video for, this product about to launch.
So what do you put in your emails actually? How is your content? That is it more like value based? Are you trying to Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I have a cool strategy that I just started implementing. So long form video, you convert that long form video into written in your email. You can break that written into a couple of different social media posts written. And then of course your long form video, you can break that into short form content. So that's the move, man. So like you make one long form educational video
on your YouTube.
On your YouTube channel.
Okay.
And then like, if you got my newsletter this week, Sam, you saw that I released a YouTube video.
Yeah.
So in my email, I put a little bit of what was in that video. If you're looking to generate leads with video in your business, then this is why it's important, blah, blah, blah. Actually, if you want to learn more, I made a deeper video about it. And here's the video. So in my newsletter, I'm promoting my video. On my socials, I'm promoting my video. Because the idea is you want to get people in your ecosystem and you want to be on their YouTube algorithm. You want to be all over their world so that they think of you, they think of video, and they're sold, after a while of nurturing. That's the long game that I'm trying to play right now.
So you're posting videos on YouTube as well, long form?
Oh yeah.
And how often? Once a week?
Once a week, yeah. That's the new rhythm, is once a week.
And in that video, you are helping your potential clients.
Yep.
These are like helpful videos, like value-based videos.
Value-based videos where we're educating in a little bit of a deeper way on one aspect of it or another on how video can help your business grow or get more leads or whatever it is.
Okay, and then you take a little bit of text from the video's context, put that in your emails, and
Yep.
then you clipping some short form from that, or are you making like original short form to post on other, like
Sure.
Instagram, TikTok? Are you on TikTok?
Not on TikTok.
Okay,
I'm not on
Instagram
TikTok.
and Facebook
Instagram, Facebook,
and
YouTube
YouTube Shorts.
Shorts,
Yeah.
LinkedIn. Yeah, so that's the move, man. Like I'm taking the YouTube video, putting it in like a little bit of a written format,
Okay.
using that as an email newsletter copy, right? A little bit of the copy.
Yeah.
Then I'm saying watch the full video below.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm cutting up that YouTube video into YouTube,
Shorts.
into shorts, into reels, into
Okay.
LinkedIn content. And I'm getting about 3 to 5 different shorts from each video.
Okay.
And so eventually I'll get to the point to where I'm filming more reel specific, short form specific content.
Yeah.
I haven't been doing that recently, but I'll probably start doing that within the next couple weeks. I think that's important too, but yeah, trying to get this rhythm as consistent and as seamless as I possibly can. But
Are you editing your
yeah.
own videos?
No.
Okay, so you have editors.
Yeah, actually, and this is probably some game for your listeners, man, but there are now subscription softwares that you can purchase, right? So like I pay a certain amount of money a month to a website that is like, hey, unlimited video edits, right? And so
Okay,
that's
wow.
what I'm doing now. That's my first step into hiring an editor full time.
And it's a
'Cause
human being editing your videos, or it's AI?
I don't know, and I don't really care, honestly.
Okay.
As long as it's unlimited revisions too. So like if I send it in and they're like it's garbage, which it's not ever garbage. It's
Yeah.
usually pretty close. I'm like, mind changing this, change that, maybe make it with my branded colors, add an animation here, take out this part here, and they do it all and they do it really quickly. So that's been my move. And I only do that for short form content for my clients as well, short form. I don't necessarily do it for any brand story kind of stuff. For that stuff, I would hire out an actual local or editor that's good that can handle the workload in a, because I want my work to reflect in a really high quality way. I don't want it to be,
Yeah.
I don't want it to look like it's somebody overseas editing or some AI editing it, So
Well, what's the website, if you don't mind sharing?
I think this one's called the Video Connection.
Oh, I'll look
Yeah.
into it for sure.
Video Connection or something like that. Yeah, but it's been good. I'll say this though, like the first month, it's going to take them a little bit to get your rhythm and your style. But after you tell them what you like, how you do it, then they get pretty good. And it takes maybe one revision. So
Unlimited. Well, it's gotta be you in the video for sure.
yeah,
You have to be okay.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm assuming they're pretty good with like social media videos, because social media videos are
Mainly.
almost like the same thing, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's what they're best at, I think.
Yeah.
That's what they're best at. But they've also done some real estate type videos for me, and
Okay.
they do fine just because those are super easy videos.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a ton of skill or knowledge to do those. Like you just have to really know how to make a slow motion or a jump cut or a transition. That's really it. But yeah.
Nice.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so how are you planning on scaling your business? Before, I think we about to land the plan, but before we end, we got maybe 1 or 2 points to cover. The first one is, are you looking into scaling? I mean, like everybody wants more money, right? Who doesn't want more money? But
Yeah.
are you looking into scaling? If yes, what are the strategies you're actually trying to implement to achieve that?
Yeah. So honestly, man, I believe that I could be doing way more volume than I am doing. And so if there's anything that I'm going to do to scale my business, it's first is going to be put more effort into doing more volume on my outreach, start doing more cold emails type of stuff, and really getting that system dialed in, right? Because like I said earlier, like if you could scale that aspect, then your business will automatically scale,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the easiest ways to do it, is to just scale your numbers when it comes to outreach. And that's the way I would recommend everybody start, because it's the easiest thing you can do, right? And so that's the first move. There's only really 4 moves you can do, right? You can do that, scale your outreach, get more leads. You can charge more money for your service, right? By default, you're going to make more money if you charge more money.
Yeah, for sure.
What are the other 3? What are the other 2? You can add more services if you want, to have more of like you could do something I've been considering is doing like some sort of school, $97 a month or $20 a month kind of thing, right? To where you have ongoing money for way less work. It's just kind of consulting kind of stuff. But my move is volume. That's the thing that's going to get me to my next level.
Yeah.
I know that, right? I think scaling my volume, scaling my outreach, and making it more efficient in terms of like maybe I do some automation within that or whatever that looks like.
Or would you consider hiring someone to help you with that?
I would consider it. I think I would really have to be maximizing what I'm doing on my own.
Okay.
Because I watched a video recently from Alex Ramosi, big fan of his, and he had a really good point, man, where he says people don't know how to work hard. And I was really thinking about that. I was like, do I know how to work hard? And I'm like, dude, I don't. I'm getting lazy. Like once you start making a little bit of like consistent income, you kind of want to revert back to what you were doing before. You get comfortable, you get complacent, and you stop putting your foot on the gas.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying stay up till midnight. I'm not like, you don't necessarily have to do that, but there's a lot of my day that's wasted on being on my phone or not doing work that's actually moving the needle, right? Like working on the website. That's not really a task that needs to be done when you're not making a lot of money. When you're not getting a ton of traffic to your website, then really who cares about it? Like I don't get any leads from my website, to tell you the truth. And so I don't know if that's something you find to be the case as well. But like, I feel like a lot of business owners who are very small at first, like I'd say 10K is pretty small. You don't really get leads through your website. Occasionally you will, but not often. And so that's one avenue that I could really just stop with. Like once I get the very basics, bare bones down, which I think I have, like you just stop. So doing more work, doing harder work is why I kind of want to start doing the volume increase on my outreach. But yeah, like it's easy to hire somebody to do it, but I don't see this business being my only business that I grow.
Yeah.
And so I want to make sure like 100% that I have the skills and the tools to grow another business. And so this is just part of it,
Yeah. It's probably helping you to learn too. I'm sure you're learning a lot of stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So before we close, man, this is amazing, man. I enjoyed the whole conversation. I feel like I don't want to stop, but unfortunately, we did like an hour and 20 minutes already. I want to talk about Vidlead Studio. Again, if you're watching on the video version of this episode, the channel we publish on it's called Vidlead Studio User. Personally, I'm a Vidlead Studio user. I use the software. I love it. Again, I've been doing video for over 10 years. I started as a hobby. Until now, I'm not a full-time creator. But the time that I discovered Vidlead Studio, it kind of changed my mind. My mindset kind of switched into, something new. Like I used to be more like a videographer person, make the best, coolest looking videos. But then when I discovered Vidlead Studio, everything switched from that to more like, okay, I'm an entrepreneur now. I gotta use my videos to solve people's problems or businesses problems. So Vidlead Studio is amazing. It's an amazing software, and I want you guys, again, if you guys want to check it out, I've got a link down below. You can actually check it out, try it for free for 30 days. I even have a code that you guys can use to get to use it for 30 days for free. But man, I want you to talk about Vidlead Studio and how you're actually using it to scale your business or to run your business.
Vidlead, bro. I'm a super fan of Vidlead. It is the best tool that I've found to help me grow my business. I've used other ones like Honeybook. I didn't like it. I've used like Close.io. I didn't like it. It's kind of like too much, not specific for video owners, video production owners. I've used Monday.com. Again, it's not ideal for video production. Vidlead is like, let me talk about the cons first, and then I'll talk about the pros. The cons of Vidlead are it's not necessarily the best tool for any one of these specific things. So what I mean by that is like, let's use Calendly for an example. Calendly is a software where you can have people schedule calls with you and book calls with you, and you can automate that. Vidlead has that in there as well. It's honestly just as good. But Calendly only does that. Vidlead does that plus 100 other things.
Yeah.
And so by default, Calendly is probably better in some aspects, right?
Yeah.
But that's not the point of Vidlead. The Vidlead isn't just to be Calendly. It's to be Calendly. It's to send out automations. It's to send out newsletters. It's to send out lead nurture sequences for your email, for your people on your lead list. It's to literally do like the mini chat, which is like the DM and the
DM
Instagram
automation.
automation stuff. So it's a lot of different things. So it's
Yeah.
not particularly the best in any one of those.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the point of it. It's not supposed to be the best in any one. It's supposed to be
Yeah.
an all-in-one tool.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a con if you look at it like that. Another con is there's honestly, and this is a con, but this is going to help anybody who uses Vidlead. So there's honestly too much stuff. There's so much stuff in there. If you don't have a team, you're never going to be able to use it all. And the reason that's a con is because you can get easily distracted trying to do all of the things. And in reality, those aren't going to help you grow your business. There's only a handful of them that are. And so flipping to the pros, having all those tools is awesome because it's one fee and you have all those tools. You don't have to buy other subscriptions or other softwares.
Yeah.
But it gets so good because like my secret to success on Vidlead is focus on 1 to 3 aspects, but do it one at a time. Don't do all at once. So what I mean by that is if you're looking to start a newsletter, which I've done, I do it all through Vidlead. All of it's through Vidlead. I don't have to worry about any of it. Do that. Set 1 full week aside to just say, I'm going to master my template. I'm going to master my form for people to opt in. And I'm going to master getting people to join my newsletter. So spend a full week doing that only.
Yeah.
And then you'll have a very good newsletter at the end of the day. You could even spend some of that week scripting and planning your content and scheduling it out, right?
Yeah.
Like you can have, if you did 1 newsletter a week, you could sit down in 1 day and write 5. That's 5 weeks worth of newsletters, right? Or you could do 2 months worth or 4 months worth, whatever. That's good because then you have content automatically rolling out to these people who already know you. And it's just going to build trust, like I was saying earlier, right? So find 2 to 3 areas that you think you could leverage or utilize, focus on them one at a time, and spend a full week diving into it. And like, I'm not saying every day for a full week unless you have the time, but like for like an hour a day, say, I'm going to learn how to use the DM automation for Instagram through Vidlead, and then spend 1 day learning, okay, how do I set up the automation? Okay, how do I get it to trigger on the right words? Okay, what are my responses going to be? You know, all these different things you can do. Because like I said, you can get really distracted on it. That's a con.
Yeah.
But if you know, okay, there's a chance I can get distracted. Let me separate this and choose the 2-3 things that I think will be best for my business. Then there's going to be less of a chance that you will get distracted and sucked into it. You know, like, so like you have to be strategic with it. And then eventually you could spread it out and just be like, okay, let me add one thing in. Let me add, you know, the nurture sequence. Let me add making a landing page, you know, like there's just so much stuff that's good about it. But the way I'm using it primarily is first is the newsletter. That's my number one way of using it. Like I'm sending those out weekly or twice a week. The second way is the automations in terms of like booking calls. Like I send out my link to book a call. It schedules the whole sequence and then like it sends out reminders so that they know.
It's amazing.
Yeah, they know 1 day in advance. They know I think 4 hours in advance.
Yeah.
And then they'll get a reminder 10 minutes before the call.
Yeah, they even get a text message.
Yep. You can do texting too, which is sick. It's such an incredible tool, man. Those are the 2 main ways I use it. And then I'm trying to get more into the automations thing. But I feel like I don't have the audience built yet on socials to do that. So I think my next step is building a really good landing page template.
Yeah.
And then being able to use that as like a lead magnet and
start building funnels.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I feel like, everything you said about Vidlead Studio, man, it's true. I feel like it's got a lot of features. Like even personally, I have two businesses kind of set up inside Vidlead Studio right now, and I still have a lot of stuff to do. So again, as you said, the best thing is to maybe do the initial setup, right? Just the basic one. If you need a website, get your website built and kind of running, and then maybe build few like, your calendar where people can book appointments.
Yep.
If you're charging them, if you're doing like coaching calls and stuff like that, you can get it set up. You can charge people up front, build your invoices, maybe, invoices and estimates. Everything can be done in Vidlead Studio. So all the basic stuff, I'm assuming using Vidlead for your invoices and stuff.
All of it. Yep. All of it.
So like guys, everything you need for your video marketing is inside Vidlead Studio. But again, as Aaron just said, it's just, I don't want to say it's too good. I don't know if it's the right word, but you have more than what you need, really.
Yeah.
So for me, I see it's like, okay, you can get started, just get the basic setup, and then as you grow, you're gonna keep adding more stuff. Like at your level right now, you're thinking about building funnels, which is doable inside Vidlead Studio. It's not done yet. Building your automations, which is really sick, man.
Yeah, bro. I love Vidlead. I have a video on my YouTube channel about it. I think I made 2 videos about it, about how it's honestly like a deeper dive into Vidlead. One of them is like an hour, and then one of them is like 20 minutes, but they're sick. They're good. It's a good software. And one of the best parts about Vidlead is that the owner, Carter, he's super hands-on. Like I've literally had calls with him. He's answered multiple questions that I've had. He sends me Loom videos, breaking down exactly what to do. So like their customer service is next level. Yeah, it's so good. And then the community aspect of it, like that's where we met, is through there. And then also their coaching calls. Like those are, I don't jump on all of them, but they're cool that they have coaching calls to help you use the software better. Pretty
also
rare.
like they do provide tips like what you just shared in this podcast. Like like they give you, like we actually, first of all, in the actual community, we get to meet real people like you. That's how we met again. And we exchange ideas, tips, and how people are making it, how people are making money. But also like Vidlead Studio team, they also have the coaching calls, as you said, where they sometimes they focus on something like how to do Facebook ads, how to set up Facebook ads for your business, stuff like that, to help you really get your video business going. So it's value, and more value, really.
Yeah.
So man, I think we have to wrap it up. But before we close, final thoughts. If somebody's getting started in video business, or they are doing it but they're not getting any consistent income or revenue, what are your final thoughts / tips for that person, looking at where you came from and where you are right now?
Yeah, that's good. I think final tips would say, focus on others more than you focus on yourself, right? Solve people's problems and really care about serving your clients, your customers, because the better you take care of them, the better that you will be taken care of. I truly believe in, like, you bless people and you pour out into others, you will be reciprocated. And then also, it's a long game, like it's taken me years to even make a sustainable living doing this, and so it doesn't necessarily have to be like that for you. But I would just say, do the groundwork, do the outreach, make sure you're hitting your numbers every single day, and then all of a sudden things will shift, so don't give up. Entrepreneurship is the best way to go, in my opinion. I'm super biased, but I love it. It's hard, but it's worth it. And so just keep the track, and you'll find success in one way or another.
Cool, man. So if people want to maybe, get in touch with you, get some tips from you, do you have any socials? Again, I'll try to put some on the screen. Where can they, reach out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say the best places to reach out would be Instagram. That's just like the best place to reach out. My @ on Instagram is @aaronvia.media. aaronvia.media on there. And then my YouTube channel, I'm posting content on there all the time. So I think it's just Aaron Via, @AaronVia on YouTube. You'll see the picture of me. And if you're on LinkedIn, hit me up on LinkedIn, just Aaron Via. So, but Instagram is definitely the best, and YouTube.
All right, man. Yo, thank you so much, man. This was fire. Again, I didn't want to stop, but
Let's
unfortunately, we
go.
did like over an hour and 30 minutes. But I want to thank you so much for sharing and being vulnerable, man, and being real and really showing, yeah, kind of pouring your heart out and trying to help the community. Personally, I appreciate everything that I got from you from this conversation, and I believe the audience is going to appreciate as well. But again, guys, I'm gonna put all the info for Aaron if you want to reach out to him. Again, as you can see or you heard, he's a cool guy. But other than that, if you want to check out Vidlead Studio, again, Vidlead Studio does not sponsor this podcast, does not sponsor all the videos that we make here on the channel. I'm just a cool guy. I like the software and I like the community or the videographers
Yeah.
kind of working together to help each other. So if you want to check out Vidlead Studio, there's a link down below. You can check it out, and I promise you're gonna love the software. It's gonna save you money. It's gonna make you more money, and of course, you're gonna enjoy the community as well. But other than that, guys, on my last episode, I interviewed another guy called Gabriel who's making about 8K a month. If you want to see the video, I'm gonna link it right here, so you want to make sure you actually check it out. He gave all the secrets, how really he's kind of new actually on the video business, and he's actually been killing it. So if you want to listen or watch the conversation, of obviously the video is gonna be linked right here or down below in the show notes. But other than that, you want to make sure you check out other videos that we have here on the channel about Vidlead Studio and how to use it to make money, and hopefully we all gonna make it. Thank you, guys. Again, my name is Sam, and I will see you on the next episode or the next video. Take care, guys.